They are not ordinary cats. Each is the embodiment of a wild element. One is the black storm that crosses the forest like a whispered thunder. Another is the silent specter lurking under the Amazon canopy. There is also one that projects himself as a biological supermachine, exploding in speed over the burning plains. And there is the one who walks alone under the blinding snow, a living shadow in the frozen mountains. Born killers, silhouettes of survival. In the bloody dance of wildlife, leopards are perfection in motion, masters of silence, invisible warriors. If the cheetah is the flash of the savanna, the jaguar is the thunder of the wet jungle, and the snow leopard is the ghost of the heights. But among all, there is one that seems molded directly from darkness. The black leopard is the pinnacle of discretion, the embodiment of mystery. In forests so dense that light barely penetrates, he moves as if he were part of the very shadow. He leaves no trace. He makes no noise. He appears like an omen and disappears before the danger is realized. Many say he doesn't exist, but he does. His existence is real, though his presence is rarely seen. Under the black mantle lies a body of muscles forged by the jungle, 2 meters in length, almost 100 kilograms of concentrated strength. His bite can crush a turtle's shell. His eyes see in the darkness. His ears catch the slightest sound. His nose reads the traces in the breeze. He is a living weapon, shaped by evolution to dominate the invisible. He does not run. He does not shout. He acts. He crouches, he approaches, he waits, and then he leaps like a lightless bolt. The forest does not hear. It just yields. He lives in solitude. He marks his territory with scratches, urine, and muffled roars that echo between vines and roots. During the mating season, he approaches a female. After mating, he leaves, and she alone gives birth, raises, teaches, protects. On a morning of dense fog, when the branches still drip dew and the jungle whispers ancient sounds, a shadow glides between the trees. A herd of deer moves calmly through a clearing. Among them, a young one, distracted, becomes the target. The black leopard does not rush. He melts into the damp ground as if he is part of it. Each step is calculated, each breath held, and when he attacks, the jungle does not react. It merely bends before perfection. But darkness is not a privilege of forests. On the other side of the world, under the scorching sun of African savannas, another shadow slides. He does not carry the black mantle of mystery, but he possesses a weapon no other predator surpasses: speed. His name is Kiro, a young male cheetah, called by some the ghost of the savannah. Kiro is not the largest, but his body has been shaped for a single purpose: to run. His long legs, aerodynamic body, and long tail like a rudder make him a living streak. In 3 seconds, he breaks past 100 kilometers per hour, faster than a race car. His claws dig into the ground like nails on a resonant drum. His lungs expand like an ancient bellows. His heart beats like the drum of death. Kiro does not just hunt, he flies. And on the savannah, where the line between life and death lasts a second, he is the champion of this race. On a stifling afternoon, among the golden hills of withered grass, a group of wildebeest grazed quietly. The females watched from a distance. For mating, the choice is theirs. Kiro and his 2 coalition brothers waited patiently. They did not roar. They did not fight. They merely displayed their strength and endurance. After a long courtship, Kiro was chosen, mated, and left. It was the cycle. The female would carry on her mission alone. Weeks later, The cubs were born. The mother moved them constantly between hiding places. Each day, a new den. Each night, a new threat. She had unknowingly entered the boundary of a territory dominated by scavengers, a silent and cruel clan. They did not hunt. They stole. They killed for opportunity. That morning, the mother left to hunt. The cubs remained motionless in the tall grass, exactly as she had taught them. An hour later, she returned, a gazelle in her mouth. The day's meal was secured, but blood had a scent, and the scent drew attention. From a high point, red eyes lurked. The pack began to move. The silence of the savannah turned into expectation. A new conflict was announced, and nature once again prepared to decide who would live and who would cease to exist. They were in no hurry. They began to circle the area, compressing space in an invisible, tense siege like the air before a storm. The mother cheetah sensed the danger when she was just a few steps from her cubs, but it was too late to return. Without hesitation, she changed course and sped in another direction, trying to lure the predators away. It worked almost. One of them ignored the decoy and sniffed the trail back to the thicket where the cubs were hidden. A sharp cry cut through the savannah's silence. The mother turned and ran like lightning, but time had run out. The confrontation that followed lasted only minutes, filled with tension, despair, and dust. In the end, the cheetah managed to drive away the invader, but not without losses. Carrying her injured cub in her teeth, she moved away from the blood-stained ground. The sky, as if mourning the silent pain of the savannah, began to darken. The first heavy drops of the season's rain fell, splashing the cracked earth as if trying to erase the traces of battle. Under the heavy rain and the smell of wet earth, the mother cheetah continued on her path. She did not look back. The cubs were alive. That was enough. On the other side of the world, under the same sky now rumbling with thunder, the Amazon rainforest receives rain differently. Here, water is not an end, but a beginning. Rain does not interrupt. It nourishes. It falls on dense canopies, trickles down branches, and joins the chorus of green parrots, the hammering of woodpeckers, and the whisper of hidden animals. Among the humid shadows, a creature moves. He makes no noise. He does not need to run. It is the jaguar, the absolute predator of the tropical forest. His presence is not announced. It is felt. With the most powerful bite among the great cats, he does not chase. He waits. He observes. He calculates. And when he attacks, a single strike to the skull ends it all. The jaguar is the largest cat in the Americas and the third largest in the world. A robust body up to 1 meter and 80 centimeters, dense muscles, and agile movements, covered by a golden coat, speckled with black rosetas, each unique like a fingerprint. He hunts alone, almost always at dusk, sometimes under the afternoon sun if necessity presses. He never chases prey. He lurks, he leaps, and finishes, preferring to attack the skull or neck where resistance is minimal and impact is lethal. Unlike other felines, he swims with dexterity. He hunts in water, near it, or in trees, thanks to his climbing skills. A versatile predatory machine, capable of capturing prey at any level of the forest. Each jaguar commands his territory, marked with scratches and urine, and avoids crossing paths with others. Only during mating do they meet, and soon part ways. The afternoon falls. Light filters through the canopy like golden threads. The jaguar walks beside the river. His steps are soft. His eyes scan the shore for signs. Nothing escapes him. By the water, a nearly 2-meter-long caiman rests motionless. His long, armored body absorbs the last sun rays. Eyes and nostrils rise atop his head, allowing him to watch even when submerged. In water, he is agile, but on firm ground, he becomes slow, vulnerable. The jaguar knows this. The jaguar approached silently from behind some low shrubs, advancing step by step without a sound. The forest barely breathed, and the moment his eyes fixed on the group of peccaries, the fate was sealed. But the story does not end here. While darkness slowly descended over the Amazon forest, thousands of kilometers away, the cold wind blew between snow-covered mountains. This is no place for haste. Over 4,000 meters above sea level, life unfolds in silence and under extreme conditions. There is no more tall grass or dense forest canopies, just rock, snow, and wind. And in the midst of this white landscape, the snow leopard slides, the great cat of the Central Asian mountains. His thick gray fur, dotted with dark spots, blends with the snow and stones. Each step is firm, silent, and patient, as if this creature belongs to the eternal cold since time began. He is not swift like the cheetah, nor as muscular as the jaguar, but he possesses a unique advantage: perfect adaptation to the harsh environment of high altitudes. Called the ghost of the mountains, the snow leopard has a body shaped to survive extreme cold. His thick, furry tail serves not only for balance on slippery descents, but also as a blanket, wrapping around his body while he sleeps. His wide, fur-covered paws act like natural snowshoes, spreading his weight and allowing him to walk on ice without sinking or slipping. His eyes, trained to hunt at dusk, see where light is just a shadow. This hunter avoids encounters. He lives in vast territories and moves constantly in search of prey. He hides among rocks and attacks from above, with leaps that can reach up to 15 meters, like an arrow shot from the sky. From the tropical forest to the rocky deserts, from the shadowy banks of the Amazon to the snowy peaks of the Himalayas, each species of feline carries a distinct form of survival, a strength, an identity shaped by the environment. But in any corner of the world, they continue to be symbols of adaptation, courage, and the wild beauty of nature. Among majestic mountains and arid deserts, Mexico stands as a battleground of life or death. Here, nature gives no truce. The living beings that walk these lands face intense cold, scorching heat, and the harshness of the climate as part of their routine. In this territory, only the strongest and most resilient continue their journey. Wild Mexico is the frontier between resilience and extinction, a landmass compressed between two oceans, where North America meets Central America, where volcanic peaks touch the clouds and dry deserts stretch until they fade into dense tropical forests. It is one of the richest points in biodiversity on the planet. In less than 2 million square kilometers, almost 10% of known species inhabit its forests, mountains, and deserts. But here, numbers do not tell the whole story. What is experienced is a symphony of layers, a constant flow of change, color, and struggle for survival. In the heart of the Yucatan jungle, light is filtered through thick leaves, creating sunspots that descend obliquely on the wet ground. The air is heavy with humidity. The smell of life and decay mixes with the sound of cicadas and the low flight of birds. And it is there, among roots and shadows, that one of the most respected hunters of the Americas lurks: the jaguar. The largest predator of the American tropical jungles does not chase his prey. He slinks, listens, and watches. Each step is calculated with millimeter precision. His dark gold eyes examine everything, The wind, the branches, the barely audible sounds of small bodies moving among fallen leaves. The jaguar's teeth are the most powerful among the cats. They can pierce skulls and shells with a single bite. And today, his target was a group of peccaries, wild pigs foraging the damp soil by a shallow stream. The peccaries communicated in nasal murmurs, alert and attentive. But darkness always waits. And today, it waited with teeth bared. The jaguar approached. His body seemed to melt into the forest floor, every muscle tensed as if ready to explode. It took just one precise leap and a fatal bite to the skull. The young wild boar fell instantly, without a sound. A nearby group of capybaras fled in panic, leaving behind a trail of crushed leaves and dust suspended in the air. The jaguar held his prey for a few seconds, his eyes motionless, scanning the darkness as if his instincts would not allow him to lower his guard. Then, he dragged his catch into the bushes as silently as he had arrived. The hunt lasted only a few seconds. Quick, precise, absolutely effective. It was the art of darkness, the invisible rhythm of survival that has pulsed for thousands of years in that forest. No sound wasted, no movement in vain. In that humid, dense, and shadow-covered world, silence is what remains alive. After the hunt, the female returns to her hidden refuge, a moss-covered rock cavity or the hollow trunk of an ancient tree, slowly undone by time. There, in the deepest part of the forest, rests what is most sacred to a jaguar: her newborn cubs. Leopards are solitary, but during the breeding season, the behavior of the female changes completely. After mating, usually in the rainy season when food is abundant and the vegetation offers ideal cover, the female begins her gestation. In about 90 to 110 days, 1 to 4 cubs are born, usually 2. They come into the world blind, weighing less than a kilogram. Fragile, but with a primitive and dormant instinct, waiting to be awakened. For the first 3 to 4 months, the mother hardly leaves the den. She feeds on prey she hides around. She moves little and with extreme caution. Every sound is a threat: a curious hyena, a male leopard who is not the father. In the wild world, males often kill the cubs of other females to force them into estrus again. Therefore, the mother's silence is not fear, it is strategy. By 6 months, the cubs begin to venture out, small incursions into the forest, always by the mother's side. They chase insects, try to catch rodents under the leaves, imitate the silent movements the female executes with perfection. They learn to smell prey in the wind, to hold their breath before a leap, to hear the invisible sound of danger. The mother nurses them for almost 2 years, a long period, longer than that of lions, longer than that of cheetahs. During this time, she does not mate again. All her energy is channeled into educating, protecting, and strengthening those 2 small bodies. Because in that brutal jungle, where everything is uncertain, ensuring that even 1 cub survives is an achievement. When they grow, the cubs leave. They follow their own paths, seeking their own territories. The cycle begins again, slowly and in silence. And even when they leave, the small paw prints that were once guided by their mother remain marked in the forest's memory. Nothing is said. Everything is transmitted by instinct, from generation to generation. Under the closed canopy of the Mexican forest, among intertwined branches and wet ground, lives a smaller but essential creature, the white-nosed coati. His slender body, long striped tail always raised like a flag, and flexible snout make him an agile, curious, and incredibly adaptable animal. Coatis move like silent ghosts, They climb trees. They search through bushes. They glide between roots with the grace of an invisible dancer. They belong to the raccoon family, close to weasels and badgers, but have a unique behavior among carnivores. Females and their young live in groups of up to 30 individuals. They sleep, feed, and protect themselves in a group. A matriarchal society in the midst of the tropical forest. Males, upon reaching about 2 years old, leave the group. They become solitary wanderers, appearing only during the mating season. The adaptability of coatis is a biological marvel. They are omnivores. They eat fruits, eggs, insects, small reptiles, and even carrion. Their sensitive and flexible snout searches the leaf litter for ants, worms, or small arthropods. They are creatures that feed and maintain the ecosystem's balance. Small in appearance, but giants in the importance of the invisible world that sustains the forest. When food becomes scarce, coatis perform a kind of terrestrial flight, jumping and gliding through tree branches like agile little primates. When threatened, the group disappears in absolute silence, climbing into hollow trunks and blending into the forest as if they had never existed. In a world full of predators, from stealthy vipers to birds of prey and large cats, the coati has neither strength nor powerful claws, nor does he rely on speed. What keeps them alive is collective instinct, constant vigilance, and the ability to observe the world without being seen. They do not challenge nature. They learn to coexist with it, one day at a time. More than survivors, coatis are silent gardeners of the forest. By eating fruits, they spread seeds in their droppings, helping to regenerate open areas where sunlight penetrates through the canopies. Through their discreet wanderings, they help the cycle of life continue. Small creatures, almost invisible, but indispensable for maintaining the fragile balance of the tropical forest. With the sun rising over the highlands of Chiapas, the dense fog begins to dissipate, revealing the treetops covered with lichen. A symphony of tropical sounds rises, and it is in this moment that an emerald green flash cuts through the sky between the trees. It is the Quetzal. The Quetzal Pharomacris mochino, a sacred symbol of the ancient Maya and Aztec civilizations, is one of the most legendary birds in the Americas. With turquoise plumage, a deep red chest, and a long tail that drags like green silk, the Quetzal is not just a bird. It is the very essence of mystical beauty. No lens can capture the true color of its feathers. At every angle of light, its plumage changes like the enchanted scales of a mythical creature. Nests are built in the hollows of rotten trees, dozens of meters from the ground. Despite his splendor, the Quetzal is shy and sensitive. He only survives in intact cloud forests, where the climate is cool, wet, and constant. Living at altitudes between 1,000 and 3,000 meters, every layer of the forest serves as natural protection. During the breeding season, between March and June, the male performs almost magical aerial displays. Graceful flights, spirals, and gentle falls like enchanted leaves. After the female's choice, male and female build the nest together and take turns incubating. They care for the chicks devotedly until they are strong enough to fly alone. A dangerous task in a world where threats come from the sky, the trees, and even sudden climate changes. The Quetzal feeds on wild fruits, mainly the wild avocado. With this, they become important seed dispersers and bioindicators of forest health. Where there are Quetzals, there is balance. When the forest disappears, the Quetzal is the first to vanish. Therefore, his soft and piercing cry is not just a natural melody, but also a whisper of warning. Mexico is a land of overlaps. Between scorching deserts, clouded forests, dormant volcanoes, and violent seas, nature transforms with every curve of the terrain. Each region holds its own wild spirit. To the north, the Chihuahuan Desert stretches like a sea without water, where the heat does not leave even with the setting sun. And even in this hostile environment, there is a creature that reigns with calm lethality. It is the desert rattlesnake. With gray scales that camouflage with the cracked ground, unchanging eyes, and a tail that vibrates like a warning from the earth's depths, the rattlesnake is a living weapon made of patience. He does not need to pursue. He just waits. When night falls, he silently emerges from his burrow. His thermal sensors detect the slightest heat signal. Then, in an invisible strike, he injects paralyzing venom with millimeter precision. In a world where energy means life, the rattlesnake is a master of economy. He survives with little, moves without haste, and attacks with certainty. He does not fight against the desert. He is the desert, materialized in scales, silence, and venom. From the arid and scorching desert, the terrain begins to rise in smooth waves, turning into slopes covered with dense, dark forests. The Sierra Madre emerges, a mountainous spine where winds blow strong and the pine canopies whisper ancient stories. It is a land of mists, silence, and mystery. And in this profound silence, a sound lost for decades echoes again between the valleys. The howl of the Mexican gray wolf. Smaller and more agile than his northern relatives, the Mexican wolf was long hunted and driven from his lands, almost driven to extinction. But now, thanks to the courage of scientists, environmentalists, and local communities, he returns. He walks the slopes again, hunts in packs, teaches his cubs to survive, and howls to the moon. The presence of wolves is more than a biological victory. It is a sign that the forest is alive, that it breathes, that it is healing. To the south, where land meets sea, the deep blue sky of the Mexican coast is crossed by a silent dance. They are the boobies, seabirds that write their stories in the wind. They do not reside here. They belong nowhere. Born on remote southern islands, they fly thousands of kilometers to reach the rich waters of the Gulf of California. Here, they find food, temporary shelter, and a brief respite from the constant effort of migration. Gliding over the ocean surface as if touching liquid silk, the boobies take advantage of every air current, every breath of wind. Their long wings cut through the sky with lethal elegance. They are tireless travelers who sleep in flight, hunt in motion, and live between two worlds. In the crevices of coastal rocks, some pairs decide to stay. They build nests hidden under low bushes, protected from sight and heat. There, eggs are laid. There, small chicks await the return of their parents, who bring pieces of fish and squid caught with precision at the surface. During the day, the birds dive, cutting through the sea in search of sardines. Some dare to go deeper, much deeper. 70 meters below the surface, blue turns to gray, then to black. And in the depths, where light does not reach, invisible predators wait. Creatures with bodies deformed by pressure, disproportionate mouths, and sensors that detect the slightest movement. They are ghosts of the abyss, hunters that never sleep. A pair of boobies dives too deep, a small mistake, a second too long, and the shadow reaches them. The attack is instantaneous, silent. There is no noise, no struggle, no visible blood, just a sudden absence, a cutting void, as if time paused for a moment. And then, the ocean closes with the same cold indifference with which it opened its abysses, as if nothing had happened. No mark, no trace. just the memory of what was and what will no longer be. Life goes on. Beauty and routine intertwine in the salty air of the Pacific. The waves shine, the chicks chirp, the cycle turns as it always has. But beneath every wave, beneath every gleam, there is a subtle and eternal reminder. Even under the strongest sun, there is darkness lurking, and it never sleeps.